Berikut live interview Prive Internasional yang dilakukan oleh Dr. James Ong bersama Marilyn Bunny Lockwood USA tentang pengalaman dan manfaat menggunakan Iteracare. Amazing story. Cucu Marilyn, usia 29 tahun menjadi buta total dan didiagnosis menderita penyakit ginjal kronis, PGK, stadium 3 sekitar 2 tahun yang lalu karena retinopati hipertensi. Tahap 3-nya naik ke tahap 4. Ahli nefrologinya sedang dalam proses memasukkan daftar transplantasi ginjal, dialisis. Pada bulan Maret 2023 dia datang untuk tes darah rutin. Pada kunjungan dokter keesokan harinya, dokter membicarakan tentang peningkatan proses menuju dialisis dan pada pertemuan berikutnya kemungkinan menempatkan port untuk dialisis. Dia kemudian memohon kepada dokter untuk mengizinkannya menggunakan air terakhir dan perangkat Iteracare. Dia mulai dengan kondisi bengkak air untuk kondisi kronisnya selama sekitar 2 minggu. Dia sangat lelah dan dia melihatnya mendapatkan energi hanya dengan minum air yang di-blow Iteracare. Kemudian dia mulai dengan alat Iteracare, perlahan pada awalnya, 3 menit tangan dan kaki setiap hari. Kemudian dilangkahkan hingga 5 menit masing-masing tangan, kaki dan masing-masing ginjal. Terus tambah waktunya hingga 5 menit tangan, kaki, dan 15 menit tiap ginjal. Sekarang sampai 30 menit masing-masing ginjal dan sudah ditambah tulang belakang. Hasil tes darah bulan Maret 2023. Kreatinin 4,7. GFR 15%. Setelah minum air terhertz dan blow hasilnya. Hasil tes darah bulan April. Kreatinin 3,8. GFR 21. Selama janji temu dengan dokter, dokternya senang dan berkata, sampai jumpa 6 minggu lagi, tidak ada pembicaraan tentang port dialisis. Cucunya memberitahu dokter tentang alat Iteracare itu dan dokter ia berkata, apapun yang kamu lakukan, teruskan. Hasil tes darah berikutnya. Maret 2023. Kreatinin 47. GFR 15. April 2023. Kreatinin 3,8. GFR 21. Juli 2023. Kreatinin 3,1. GFR 26. Selalu minum air terhertz dan blow dengan alat Iteracare. Informasi lebih lanjut kunjungi www.iteracareindonesia.com atau hub 008953899266674.
Welcome back to our live stream, and once a week we get to feature stories, inspirational lives, wonderful testimonies from around the world. And today we have 2 amazing stories from the United States. And without much further ado, I would like to invite first of all our guest Marilyn, and she has a very interesting story, but not so much about herself, but about her grandson. Now, welcome, Marilyn, and good morning to you. I know it's very early. Thank you so much for really making an effort to share this story. When I first read this story on Facebook, I was really touched, and I thought, well, people need to know, because this involves a lot of people out there with stage 3 and stage 4 kidney problem. Okay, now before we introduce you to talk about your grandson, with your permission, can I show his photo?
Yes, please.
So that our viewers can get an idea. So tell us about Christian, is that right?
That's right, Christian.
Yeah, so tell us about Christian and how his problem started.
Okay, well, Christian is going to be 30 years old at the end of this month. Christian has been a tattoo artist since he was about 12 or 13 years old, got to be pretty famous. He was touring, and we live in Kentucky, but he met a girl that was going to the University of Kentucky, and he moved with her to Columbus and was tattooing there and full of life and vigor. One day in April of, I'm going to give you a little bit of the backstory, April of 2021, I got a phone call from his girlfriend that he was in the hospital. And I said, what do you mean he's in the hospital? And she said, well, he's all right, but his blood pressure's a little high. So anyway, I got a hold of his mother and she went right up there to Columbus. Well, it seems like what happened was he had just come back from Hawaii tattooing and he saw all these black spots in front of his eyes. So he thought it was just from hours and hours of tattooing. So he went to get an eye exam and they kept taking his blood pressure. Next thing, an ambulance shows up and he's in the hospital for the next 15 days in the University of Kentucky, Columbus Hospital, that his blood pressure was so outrageous. They'd never seen anybody live with blood pressure that high. So anyway, my daughter, his mother, brought him home and started doctoring here at the University of Kentucky, who said the same thing. They'd never seen anybody with blood pressure that high. And they also wanted to study him, but it was a very bleak period because he was used to being active and now they were feeding him all this medicine and everything. And so that's when his feet started swelling, and that's when they diagnosed that he had chronic kidney disease, and it went from, I guess, 2 to 3 to 4.
At that stage, his vision was already impaired at that time.
His vision had started going down. At first, it started a little bit, and then it got so that he could see out of the corner of his eye. If he looked at you, he had to look sideways since he lost the front vision, but he could see peripherally. And it started going down and down and down. And of course, there was about, I'll have to tell you, there's a gap in there of about 6 months where he went pretty dark. Very, very, he's a young man. He was a world traveler. He was vivacious and he was full of life. And eventually now he is completely blind. He sees nothing. It's black. So we concentrated on his, he had to go every month, sometimes every 3 weeks, and they would test him, and his kidneys kept getting worse.
So when you say his kidneys getting worse, you're referring to the creatinine level that kept climbing up, right?
Right, yes.
And so that one is not good when the creatinine level goes up, right? For our viewers who may not know. And then the GFR, right?
Was
glomerular filtration rate is sort of like going down, right?
Sort of going down, yes, not sort of going down.
So those are the two figures. One is going up, which is not good. The other one is coming down, which is not good. Yeah. And so from stage 2 to stage 3 and stage 4, right?
Right. Yeah. Eventually went to 4. And so I looked everywhere. It's being, and I've always been into natural stuff. And I looked and looked and looked, because there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet. If you've got stage 4, we can help you, this, that. And don't ask me how. I prayed that I found something. Well, I found this magic wand.
Magic wand.
The magic wand.
I know.
Iteracare.
Wow. Yeah, it looks beautiful.
And so I figured I got a hold of somebody. I got a hold of somebody, and it was June. I think I got the wand in June.
I got the numbers here that you shared, if that may help you. So March, the creatinine level was 4.7 and the GFR was 15. And then in April, the creatinine level came down and the GFR went up, which is good, right?
Right. So and all the doctor said, Christian told his doctor what we were doing. He said, my grandmother has this device. She said that is natural healing. And she just said, well, whatever you're doing, keep it up.
Keep it up. Just keep doing it. Don't stop. Okay.
Didn't ask what it was. Nothing. I kept saying to him, because his mother always takes him to the doctor, because I have a little, I initially bought the wand to help myself, which it has. That's a whole different story.
Okay.
Anyway,
tell us, I'm sure a lot of viewers would like to know, how did you do it? Like, I mean, did you blow, how did you blow on him, and did he drink the wanded water, and, kind of just Take
So
us through.
this is when it got to the point that they were going to put at the very next appointment, when he went to the hospital, and I took him for his blood test, and they called him back that night and said things are way off, way off. And they immediately called, he stayed in the hospital. They called in the team, the transplant team, and they were going to put a port in. And then by Monday, that was Friday, by Monday, his numbers have sort of settled down a little bit. And so they let him.
So he
come
was
home.
going to go on a dialysis treatment.
He's already met with the
They
transplant
already
team.
put the pot in there for him.
They hadn't put the
They
port in,
haven't.
but he
They
had
wanted
met
to.
with-
Okay.
he had met with the team, and
Yeah.
they were talking about the port because his numbers every month were
I know.
so
I know.
going bad.
Yeah.
So I begged him. I said, in the thing you said, I begged the doctor, but it was him that I begged. I said, Christian, can Mama try that? Mama, I'm a Mama in Kentucky. I live in Kentucky. He said, whatever you think it'll help, Mama. And I said, let's put it in God's hands. I said, and let's try it. So at first, because I had read every stitch of information from everybody that I could possibly read about the Iteracare wand, everything. So I knew not to jump in. My instinct was to set him down and blow him for hours and hours and hours and make him drink as much water as I could. But I know that I couldn't, especially because his kidneys were bad. He shouldn't have a lot of. So we did the wanded water. And at first he only drank like maybe 6 or 8 ounces.
Okay.
And then
So you gradually increase. Yeah.
Gradually, very gradually. For a period of about 2 weeks, we just did the water. I would bring him over because he lives with his mom now. And so we would do the water. And then I only started like every day. Then we did the water before and afterwards when I started wanding, and we did the hands and the feet and behind his knees, and a little bit, only like 2 minutes down his back. So I did that for about another 2 weeks, and then I increased it to 5 minutes. Now, this is Monday through Friday. I did it every day, mostly every day, except maybe a couple times when he had because he was doctoring at that time with a counselor for his depression. Obviously, he was in deep depression.
I can understand.
And so eventually he tolerated it well. He seemed was very angry too, very angry. Yeah. And so eventually we moved up, and then I would do his and then I did his kidneys. I forgot about his kidneys, sorry.
Okay.
We did his hands and his feet and behind his knees, sometimes under his arm, depending on how he felt. And then I started in his kidneys in the back, because I'd say, I don't know where your kidneys are. And he said, well, I do. And he'd go like that. He said,
I had that being told in a live stream as well. They didn't know where the kidneys were, and they just blew around it, or what they thought the kidneys were placed, and it worked anyway.
So eventually we got up to 30 minutes on each kidney, and then down the back and the hands. So the last time as you can see from the screen, the last time he went, his creatine had gone down to 3.1. And his GFR was 26. Now that still puts him in stage 4, but if we can get it to 30, I think is stage 3, which everything that I've read, you're not supposed to be able to go from 4 to 3.
Yeah. Well,
now the last time he went, they didn't talk about putting in a port. They didn't talk about him meeting with the transport team anymore. And she said, you're doing so good. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. And she don't want to see him till October. So I have no new numbers. And that's the story.
The numbers are certainly.
And this is what did it. This right here.
Thank God for that. And whatever you're doing, keep doing it, all right? And definitely the numbers are heading in the right direction. And
in the right direction.
Marilyn, I can feel your grandson and yourself and your daughter and everyone all within the family. I mean, he never asked for such thing to happen to him. And I can only wish him all the very best and continue to blow on
Thank
him.
you.
Don't give up. And I think with your faith and your belief, it will help a lot more. So thank you so much, Marilyn, for
Thank you. Thank you
sharing
for
this
having me.
amazing testimony, because there's a lot of people out there right now who are suffering from kidney diseases and they just don't know what to do. So thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Wow.